victory that risked losing everything. So we carefully didn't ask for an independent educational evaluation the district expected it to, and it drove them nuts. They practically shoved it in our face. We want to give you an IEP.
Please take it.
They said in the alternative dispute resolution. They said, "Yo, you bastards! I don't know why you want to give us. I don't know why you want to give us an IEP." So we said, "Sure. What we'll do is, first off, we want 3-4 months to Lindemood Bell, so we see what happens when the kid actually gets some effective reading intervention, and let's see what happens at the end of that, and then let's assess them." Oh, no. They all got up on their feet. They went out the door. They had a consultation. They called their lawyer, Jonathan Reed, of Fagan, Friedman, and Full for us. That's right, here I am, Jonathan. And they came back in the room, and all of a sudden they weren't going to give us the right time of day, so we just all had to leave. So, number one, when you're advocating for people, you're not trying to win, you're trying to survive. You're trying to make sure that you get out of there to fight another day. So, if you can, I was pleased to have the district file against us, because first off, it's true that if they lost, they were toast. They were left with nothing, except that for 3 months they hadn't given this kid any schooling. But if they won, it wasn't that bad, because then we had consent for sped services. It all goes in the toilet. They can't do anything about that, and now there they are. They're still in trouble, and they can't really pursue the truancy thing because that's retaliation. We can push them back on that too. Naturally, they'll drag you to SARB. I believe that you're entitled to a public hearing with the SARB. So we would open the SARB hearing to the public, and we would parade the district's dirty laundry at the SARB, and we might even get lucky, and the SARB might not agree with them. And even if we do get lucky, fine, they go to the DA. By the time they're all done with that, which should all take about 3-4 months, and the school year is pretty much over anyway, then we set them up as a private school, and then we slip through our fingers anyway. So that's how we played it. Any kind of time you want to tangle with them, make sure that if you lose, it doesn't really cost you that much. And make the district know that if they want to fight you and they want to hurt the kid, it's going to be turmoil as far as the eye can see. But if they want to give you your gotta-haves, I mean, you don't pursue the whole world and everything, you don't pursue all the stuff that you like to have to the death, but if they'll give you your gotta-haves, you'll give them their gotta-haves, and it'll be the start of a beautiful relationship. That's basically it. One of the very important things in advocacy, and this is true in general, as Sun Tzu taught in The Art of War, you want to demoralize your adversary by knowing that if he runs away, everything will be fine. So you want to give him a chance to run away and not get hurt. If you put him in a situation where you're implacable and you just want to hurt him, and you're going to fight them on every little thing, then they're going to say to themselves, we got to fight this person to the death. So you don't want people saying to themselves, we got to fight you to the death. We want people to know if they'll just be reasonable, it'll all be smiles and sunshine. So you have to think about being kind to them. Loving your enemies is an important thing. It's not just because Jesus said so. If you don't love your enemies, you're going to do stupid things, and you're going to end up in battles that you're going to lose and get hurt for nothing.
I'm not very familiar with most of these proceedings, what you're speaking of. Okay, so if you guys don't refuse, if you don't consent for the program that they had initiated for the child, which you felt was unfair, and the child doesn't go to school then while you are not consenting?
Well, that depends on what it is.
And that's why you mentioned the truancy.
In our case, in this particular case, the high school placement, the campus itself was a disaster. The kid, for example, peed and pooped himself a couple of times in the school, which never happened anywhere else. But his anxiety and so forth brought him to the place, on account of his autism, brought him to the place where he wasn't going to function there, and it was going to make him look stupid. And we agreed, you know what, you already put this kid through a whole year of this crap, and you're not going to do it anymore. So in this case, we want the services of various kinds, but you're not going to give them on a high school campus. Now, of course, what they did is they retaliated against us by saying, fine, if you want the services, you got to come and get them that you've agreed to. You got to come and get them on a high school campus. So we filed a complaint with OCR on that because that's retaliation. And of course, there was also another we could have filed something else too, except we didn't want to file anything until we had got a continuance on the other one. We didn't want them consolidating things, okay? But we were ready to pop a few other things at them if we didn't get out of the mediation. You know, we get the thing continued, this other thing, then we could file our own complaints, and that would be one of them. But we never had to go that far. But many times, many times they'll want, say, to put them in a special day class and just warehouse them. And no, you're not going to do that. We had a different situation where, and this worked out very nicely, settled very easily. This kid's a Down syndrome kid. Pretty smart Down syndrome kid, but it's a Down syndrome kid. He'd have been a lot better off if they hadn't spent 5 years screwing around with him and not teaching him. But anyway, past 2 or 3 years, he's been making real progress, closing the gap, catching up. They said we're going to put him in a severe special day class in a county placement, a 25-mile drive from his home, which with a bus is going to be an hour. So we couldn't reason with him. So we filed for a 504 due process hearing saying that they were discriminating against him on account of his disability by not allowing him to go to his home school and destroying his community connections by putting him taking an hour out of his day in the morning, an hour in the afternoon, and all that he had in the community, they were just going to toast it, right? So we filed a 504 due process hearing, and the next news you know, they say, well, we'll put him in a junior high school down the road. Not his home junior high school, but still junior high school a little way down the road. Another severe class. Well, we heard some bad things about that, and the district had already said before, you know, this is not an appropriate placement. So now the district's saying, well, this is not an appropriate placement. So they were hoping that, well, we file for due process or give up. What we had to do about that one was first we argued with them, and they gave us all kind of reasons why they didn't have to agree that, in fact, we refused consent to that placement. We were saying we want him in his own junior high school, where they would not allow him to register. This is really stupid. I filed a due process hearing complaint saying, this is what I want. The law says that if we refuse consent to their placement, they gotta file to defend it. So, either they file for the due process, they file a complaint defending their thing, or they let him go to his high school, his junior high school. We didn't file on any issues, we only, except one, filed the complaint. Simple as can be. So we went to a resolution session, and they just caved. They said, okay, we'll put him there in his home school, we'll give him an aid. We asked for an aid for a week, you know, just so he could kind of learn his way around. They offered the aid for 20 days, school days, which is really a month. And he's doing great. Doing very well there, and the district ended up spending a lot less money than they otherwise would have.
So to clarify, you're saying you filed a due process case?
That's right.
And all you put in it was one sentence saying the district needs to file...
Well, we put a little more than one sentence, but that's really what we said. It was a nice, clean issue in which we said we've refused consent to this component, namely the moderate to severe class in the junior high school. The law says that when we refuse consent, if the district thinks that it's fake, they're required to file their complaint defending their placement. And that was what we wanted. File your hearing.
Got it. Good.
Which they didn't want to do because they were going to lose. And they were going to spend thousands of dollars losing. Now the next thing is that if in fact they did win, then we would have yanked consent for sped and made him put him in his own school anyway, which they knew we were going to do. So we went up there to the resolution session with Amy and Shauna, and we settled up right away. Well, they went and spent a half an hour talking to Jonathan, and then they settled up. It's great.
Right.
On a whole, that's the thing. If you have whoever goes has the burden of proof. So as Sun Tzu says, make the enemy come to you, don't go to him. Don't attack if you can make him attack you.
So Now, in cases where the person's already in high school and there's delayed in getting the education necessary, is there times where it continues past the age of 18 as far as part of the settlement or whatever? Like, I mean, I'm not familiar. So.
Individuals with Disabilities Act, Education Act, depends. Most places it's up through 21. In California, it's up through 22. You are covered by the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and you're entitled to the services and placement and so on and so forth until you reach age 22 or you get a regular high school diploma, whichever comes first. In other words, they give you a certificate of completion or some kind of nonsense like that. They're still on the hook. My son displeased him greatly when he got his GED, and he went and announced in the IP meeting, you know, I got my GED. And they said, oh, congratulations. And they all fell in love with him and said, I guess you're all done with us now, huh? And he says, oh, no, I'm sticking around till age 22. Boy, that pooped in their Cheerios. So, you know, we got some more services out of him and everything. So, because he ended up having to get a GED, they're on the hook till he's like 22 years old. They got another 3 years to talk to him.
Now, does that cover parts of after high school? Let's say pre-college or psych-college education? Considering
504, you're
Where
covered
are you
in second and post-secondary. You got accommodations in post-secondary. Under IDEA,
Hold on.
the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which is strictly through secondary, that's it. You're covered so long as you didn't get the regular high school diploma. You're entitled
What was your delivery fee?
You could be going to community college and so
Friday.
forth, but you can still extract stuff from the district under IDEA through your IP.
110. Yep.
Which may or may not be to your advantage.
Well,
But
some of these things, I mean, I didn't think that this would apply to me too much, but it comes to, like, I have a cousin who's autistic.
Okay.
She's actually in Georgia.
okay.
But, I mean, it's interesting for me to know these things because you never know when it's going to come up. You know?
Yep.
And I just,
How old?
I haven't seen her in a long time. I'm going to say she's probably 10 or 11.
Okay.
But I haven't seen her in 6, 7 years. So
Has she been assessed at all?
I'm assuming so. I don't know. I that's my uncle from my mom's side, but he's not really as close to the family as he should be. And he's been, I mean, there's been rumors of him trying to come back to California where I would see the child more often.
Okay.
But, I mean, there's things that we talked about, you know, getting her assessed. Initially, when she went undiagnosed for a while because the mother is not all normal either, and she didn't want to take her to get assessed, you know, to diagnose that she was autistic. You know?
Okay.
But as time went on, we finally got that, so it's, you know, she was diagnosed as autistic.
I know people in Georgia, actually.
I don't know if she's actually in a program. I mean, I guess it'd be good for me to know.
Well, you can get all kinds of things, and you don't have to have some sort of a special program. You can be in a general ed class, and you can still get various and sundry supports. For example, one of my sons, he was in a general ed class, and he did fine, you know, A's and B's and things like that. But he would have meltdowns, and sometimes he educated people with his hands, which is not okay. So we got an IEP for him in which they provided various accommodations and in which he got to step out of the class for a few minutes if there was a problem or different things like that. So he's managed to stay out of trouble for the last year of high school because we got those accommodations. We even got some counseling from him, from a guy at the CELPA who's actually not bad on these things, a guy by the name of McGrath, who proved to be somewhat helpful. So, you know, that worked out. He didn't need a lot of stuff, but he needed a few things and got them. So, yeah, we could look at it'd be possible to look at your cousin's situation. And I do know some people in Georgia from COPA that might be helpful.
Say what COPA is.
That would be Council of Parents and Advocates and Attorneys, I believe it's called.
And it's nationwide.
It is a nationwide organization. Yep. www.copaa.org. Very good outfit to get acquainted with. If you're going to be involved in special ed stuff, It's kind of like, you know, if you're driving around in California, you probably ought to get a AAA membership. If you're going to work in World of Sped, you probably ought to get a COPA membership and spend some time on the list, and you know, this way you can discuss and learn. It's a good thing. It's like AAA for Sped.
I don't have any more
Okay.
Well, you got my card, so.
I did. Yeah, it's in my pocket.
Great. Thank you, Peter.